Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian at the Air Force Association's annual conference and trade show at the Gaylord Resort in National Harbor, Maryland. And we've got with us Raanan Horowitz, who is the president and CEO of Elbit Systems of America. Raanan, great seeing you again.
Great seeing you, Vago. Thank you.
AFA is always an opportunity to listen to the Air Force leadership, but also present some of the products that you guys have. You know, obviously each AFA has a campaign that's associated with it. What are you hearing about what the customer wants, what the Air Force wants, and what are some of the products that you're positioning here?
The Air Force is looking to incorporate new capabilities and technologies at its fleet of platforms, existing platforms. We are focusing on capabilities on platforms like the F-16. Of course, the F-35 is looking at some of the modernization already on new capabilities for the aircraft. The TX is a huge opportunity. We have technologies all the way from embedded training to cockpit capabilities, in survivability, missile warning systems. There's a whole host of capabilities that the Air Force is looking for, and I think we have those capabilities in an affordable way, which is attractive to the Air Force.
We're not coincidentally standing in front of an F-16 model. Obviously, you guys have done a vast series of work both on the new build aircraft but also on the upgrade markets. What are some of the U.S. Air Force is talking about upgrading some of its older F-16s to keep them around a little bit longer. What are some of the products and approaches you guys have to extend the life of the F-16 for the Air Force?
Yep. Well, one of the top priorities is survivability. We are promoting an IR-based missile warning system with the Air National Guard to upgrade F-16, and this is very key because the threats are evolving from longer distances, and we have capabilities, combat-proven, that can really help them increase survivability of the aircraft. In the cockpit, we're working different technologies in display generation, of course, upgrading our venerable JGMCS product line with our digital capability is another priority. Overall, we see changes in both pilot interface, data fusion, data presentation to the pilot, and of course in weapon management and capabilities.
Let me ask you about the TX, about the trainer competition. You mentioned that you guys do have a lot of technology from ground training systems to air training, and even on the naval side. But tell us a little bit about what are the team you're participating on, and what are some of the other opportunities you see in the training business?
Well, it's just a unique thing about Elbit. We're coming to the TX not just as a component provider, but as somebody who understands the overall training concept and mission. So technologies we're able to offer some of the teams that are involved in the competition include embedded training, which is a way to basically achieve live virtual constructive type training at a much more affordable and much more effective way. Of course, we're supporting with some of the traditional systems, but when we talk about large area displays, revolutionary type cockpit, to be able to train people for using, pilots for using Gen 5 type aircraft.
So how long before we see an announcement about which team you're joining?
I'm not sure you'll see one like that, but we are actually supporting several of the teams with capabilities. We have technologies that I think can add capability to each one of them. On the embedded training side, we've worked very closely directly with the Air Force, even before that became a part of the requirement. We're still continuing to work with the Air Force. We believe the helmet needs to be added eventually to the aircraft. And of course, as you know, we have a very strong leadership position in that, which we'll support many of the teams with that as well.
Let me ask you one last question. Obviously, the $38 billion deal, 10-year deal between the United States and Israel, the military aid deal, has been making headlines. Obviously, there's some debate by some members of Congress who want to increase that amount of money. But Elbit is an important contractor in the United States, but it's also one of Israel's most important contractors. What's the role of Elbit, in this wider defense cooperation alliance?
And first of all, again, I think this is a real significant deal for Israel and for the U.S. Some of the things that are coming with this MOU is a requirement to spend more of the dollars in the U.S., phasing out the ability to actually send some of the funds to Israel. Elbit is one of the companies that's very well positioned with our Elbit Systems of America and our facilities and capabilities to actually execute that, creating value both for Israel and for the U.S. taxpayer. We are working very closely with U.S. OEMs that might be beneficiary of the deal, if it's more F-35s, if it's potentially the V-22, if it's potentially a tanker and other capabilities. We're excited about this and glad to see this MOU finally moving forward.
Raanan, thanks very much. Toda Rabah.
Thank you very much, Vago. I appreciate that.